they're disrupting school meetings. They are really interfering with traffic on a regular basis, and they're interfering with Christmas tree lightings. It is really becoming a big problem in this country with the ongoing protests by Palestinian supporters. Hello, I'm Adrienne Batra. With me is Warren Kinsella. I know we have the right to peaceful protest. We have the right in this country, right, correctly so, for people to express their views in a peaceful manner. But Warren, what we just saw, I mean, people can see the images for themselves, the recent school board meeting in Peel, which was, it was like watching, the Capitol being stormed that we saw. This has gone beyond.
It is. And, so take a look at that footage. They're busting into a school board meeting. What is that like? Is the school board going to declare a ceasefire in Israel? And the same thing with the Christmas tree lighting. What in the name of God has a Christmas tree lighting have to do with the war in the Middle East? And I think, what it reveals is these people aren't just after Israel. They're not just after Jews. They're after everybody who disagrees with them or everybody that they think is insufficiently on side with them. They're angry about everything. Do I think that they are turning public opinion against them? I do. I think in North America and Western Europe, these protesters, I call them Team Hamas, are losing public opinion. They're losing middle Canada, they're losing middle America. But by the same token, and as we've written in the paper many times, where are the police? With the exception of the attack on a bookstore, Heather Reisman's Indigo, attacked because she's Jewish. Why are so many of these other incidents, some of which are criminal, why are the bad guys, walking the streets still? Where are the arrests? It's not happening. That's one of the big concerns I've got.
And I think it's the disproportionality of it. And, Canadians saw what happened with the trucking convoy and the extreme measures that were taken. And I recognize there is a difference. That was a multiple day occupation, and it was disruptive, but the police acted. I think the reaction from the government was over the top with the seizing of the bank accounts and all of that. But this what we're seeing on the streets of Canada and North America is gone way over the top. Again, here are the images from the tree lighting ceremony in New York, the infamous Rockefeller Center, when they are having the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. Again, the interruption, and I think you're right, Warren. I think that's when the average Canadian American is sort of thinking, okay, I'm for your cause, I sympathize with you, but now you've lost me. So I'm wondering, why aren't the cops doing anything? Or do they just think, okay, we just have to, gloves off, hands off, not interfering?
I don't know. I don't get it. I used to be a cop reporter at the Calgary Herald and the Ottawa Citizen. And I don't know why they're sitting on the sidelines. If you look at the footage of what took place in New York, right? So they go after a 70-year-old Christmas tree lighting ceremony that has nothing to do with Israel, has nothing to do with the Jewish faith. They were trying to tear down barricades separating them from families with kids. They were screaming obscenities. They were doing all they can to destroy this simple ceremony, which is nice. And the cops themselves told the New York Daily News, as we wrote about in our paper, it was pure chaos. Total chaos. They had lost control. What's happening is with these people, with Team Hamas, they are seeing that law enforcement is not acting against them. They are observing that as much as we are. And they're saying, well, if they're not coming after us, let's dial it up. Let's get more aggressive. Let's block the Gardiner Expressway, one of the busiest roads in North America, let alone Toronto. Let's attack Jewish businesses. They're becoming more and more bold and more open about their anti-Semitism because the authorities are not acting.
I want to pivot to something that you just mentioned, and that was the attack on Indigo and the direct attack to Heather Reisman, who is the owner of Indigo Books, who happens to be Jewish, and someone that you're very familiar with. We thought that she was gone away and washed up, but Naomi Klein has decided that she wanted to demonstrate to the public that the now infamous Indigo 11 that were arrested for vandalism of the Indigo bookstore. She thought she would get a group of people together, Jewish academics and herself, to do the same thing and show how it's not anti-Semitic. I mean, Naomi Klein has, I think at last count we checked, there's almost 10 books in the Indigo bookstores, but what's the rationale here?
It's just rank hypocrisy. So Naomi Klein, just so everybody's clear, as you put it, she's a best-selling author. She's a Canadian. She travels around the world, does book tours, get fawning profiles in the New York Times Magazine. Like, she's a famous person. Her response to this attack on a Jew, on a woman whose only crime has been to be Jewish, a bookstore, right? Which to me is a hate crime. It's not just mischief or vandalism, it's a hate crime. She said, let them go, drop the charges against the 11 who did this. Oh, and by the way, keep selling my books. So just so we get that straight, Naomi's okay with Heather Reisman selling her books, but she's not okay with these 11 idiots being prosecuted. Like, it's hypocrisy at a scale I don't think we've ever seen before, but we're seeing, I guess, a lot of it these days.
So we thought that since Hamas broke the ceasefire on October 7th, there has been a ceasefire, Hamas broke it. Those terrorist attacks, we've now seen, thankfully, some of the hostages being released, not all, but some, and that's been an important step in the right direction. But the protests go on. The infiltrating of a school board meeting carries on, scaring the hell out of those poor trustees who are just there trying to sort out curriculum-related matters for students. But I think that it seems that the vitriol and the anger and the rhetoric on this side of the pond is only amping up. I'm wondering, in the last word to you, what your perspective is on that, and if so, what should we be doing about it?
Well, I've given up one thing I'm not going to be doing, which is trying to reach these people, Team Hamas. Like, in the past 24 hours, Hamas broke the ceasefire by firing rockets at Israel. They killed 3 people at a bus stop in Jerusalem, 2 of them senior citizens, one of them a rabbi, and their leader, one of their billionaire leaders, gave an interview saying October 7th was just a rehearsal. That's just in the past 24 hours. If people who see that, who sympathize with Palestine, don't understand that they've got a big problem being aligned with that side, well, either they are anti-Semitic or they are assholes or they are both. I've given up on those people. But I think it's incumbent upon the rest of us to answer, the most important part of your question. What do? We have to keep pushing back. We have to keep telling the story, as unpleasant as it is, of what's going on right now. And that's fortunately what we're doing at our newspaper under your leadership. We're telling the story, what's happening in the streets, what's happening in the boardrooms, and what's happening in the Middle East. We need to make sure that people are paying attention and not turning away, because what's happening now is an important part of history, and the right side needs to win.
Well, let us know what you think in the comments below. Are these protests going to finally wane? Will people finally start waking up? And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and go to theTorontoSun.com. You're going to find coverage on stories like this and others you will not find anywhere else.